Indeed, the Prophet ﷺ said in the authentic hadith, whoever loves to meet Allah, Allah loves to meet him. And whoever hates to meet Allah, Allah hates to meet him. Ask yourself, are you from those people? My brothers and my sisters in Islam, my brothers and my sisters in Islam, one day the Prophet ﷺ stood up in the depths of the night. It is authentically reported in Al-Bukhari that he raised his hands up to the heavens and he said, Oh Allah, my ummah, my ummah. Ya Allah, my ummah, my ummah. Ya Allah, my ummah, my ummah. He couldn't say more than that. He couldn't finish his sentences because he was so emotional. Until the night passed and the last third of the night came, until Fajr time came. And at that point, Jibreel alayhi salatu wasalam came down and said, Ya Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, Allah has sent me and said, Ya Muhammad, your Lord will not disappoint you regarding your ummah. Your Lord will not disappoint you regarding your ummah. The question is, brothers and sisters in Islam, are we going to disappoint our Prophet ﷺ? Are we going to disappoint our Prophet ﷺ? Allah has promised our Prophet, He will not disappoint him regarding our ummah. The question is us, are we going to otherwise not fulfill the promise of Allah and be a disappointment for our Prophet ﷺ? Be you of those people who fulfill his vision. Be you of those people who fulfill your love for Allah Azza wa Jal by pursuing the vision of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam on this earth. I ask you, my brothers and sisters in Islam, if you're feeling negative because you're constantly criticized in this work, remember what Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah said. He said, Wallahi, Allah loved Abu Bakr and Umar so much that He created a nation of millions of people known as the Shia who would curse Abu Bakr day and night, so that by Allah Abu Bakr can take their good deeds and they can take the bad deeds of Abu Bakr and Umar. Allahu Akbar. This is the positivity in the eyes of negativity. This is why Shafi'i rahimahullah used to say, measly is the situation of the person who is not criticized. So do not be afraid of criticism. Do not be afraid of those people who talk too much. Get on and get doing your good deeds. Do not worry about people who criticize and tell you otherwise. For those people who are going through great difficulty in their life, remember the story of Al-Mutanabbi, a great poet in Arabia. He used to say, whenever I used to have disease and had difficulty in my body, I used to write the best of poetry, the most emotional poetry. And indeed, I would wait for those times of difficulty because my poetry would be the best. So if you're of those people who are afflicted by difficulty, remember the story of Al-Mutanabbi. For those people who are significantly trying to do da'wah to your families, people come to me and say, I've been trying to change my family, I've been trying to change them, telling my mom to pray, my dad to pray. What message do I have for you? I have the message of the great scholar Abdullah ibn Mubarak. Abdullah ibn Mubarak used to have a Jewish neighbor and he used to give him da'wah for 20 years until a day came when the Khalifa came to Abdullah ibn Mubarak and came to the neighbor of Abdullah ibn Mubarak, the Jewish neighbor, and said, I have to demolish your house because we have to build a road on this path. And what did the Jewish neighbor say? He said, okay, I will sell you my house for 2,000 dinars. So the Khalifa said, why 2,000 when the house is only 1,000 gold dinars? He said 1,000 gold dinars for the house and 1,000 for being the neighbor of Abdullah ibn Mubarak. Then he went to Abdullah ibn Mubarak and accepted Islam. My brothers and my sisters in Islam, those who are despairing that your parents don't listen to you, your wife doesn't pray, your husband doesn't listen, your uncle, aunties, your brothers and sisters not listening to you, be patient by Allah. Just like Abdullah ibn Mubarak was. Because when they lose you, by Allah, they will surely understand the value that you have come to them. For those people who have lost hope, think that they cannot do any good at all, remember the story of Al-Sarakhsi rahimahullah. Imam Al-Sarakhsi, the great scholar of the Hanafi madhab, was imprisoned in the well for 10 years. But by Allah, this did not stop him. He used to recite at the bottom of the well. He used to recite his book until his students would come at the top of the well and write down everything he used to say, until they filled up a volume of 27 volumes of a book by the name of Al-Mabsut. 27 volumes from what As-Sarakhsi would say from the bottom of the well. Never despair. You can always prove your love to Allah Azza wa Jal, wherever you are, in whatever situation you are. For those people who are being harmed, who are being hurt by your families and by your situation now, but Allah, remember the situation, Imam Ahmed rahimahullah, and remember that he was also harmed and hurt for years and years. He was lashed until his arms were out of his sockets. Yet he never gave up being upon the truth. For those people who are looking at the situation of the Muslimin around us and say there is no hope for this ummah is destroyed. Those who look at the situation of Islam and Muslims and the countries of Islam and Muslims being eaten up by other people. But Allah, never despair. Let me tell you what Ibn Kathir says in his Bidaya and Nihaya, and I recite to you the following. He says, 1,000,000 crusaders entered into Bayt al-Maqdis, and they did with it what animals do in the forest, and they perpetrated that which even the shaitans do not do. In 1 week, they killed 60,000 people. From them, the scholars, the worshippers, the imams of masajid, and the ascetics. They put up the cross over Bayt al-Maqdis. They brought into Bayt al-Maqdis the pigs and replaced the adhan with the callings of disbelief and shirk. And people cried and they cried and they cried, and they thought that Bayt al-Maqdis would never ever return to the control of Islam and Muslims, and that there will never be an end to this trial and tribulation of the people of Islam. So the disgrace upon the believers continued until Allah raised from this ummah a hero who planted the love for the blood of struggling in the path of Allah flow through the veins, and he planted the spirit of struggle and valor in the souls, and he destroyed the pessimism that had unsheathed the hearts. So there stood the man by the name of Salahuddin, and he called out from A'maq and Jadana. He said, "Oh, woe to Islam!" On that cry, the heroes from the army of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam stood up until they met the crusaders, and they killed 30,000 of them, and they opened up Al-Quds, and they purified the sacred lands from the evil ones. Their victory continued until the crusaders had no option but to pay the jizya from a lowly hand, after the crusaders had been the commanders in authority in power for 91 years. My brothers and my sisters in Islam, those who are despairing about the situation of the ummah, by Allah, it could be we are on that 90th year. We could be on the 90th year, the year before Allah gives this ummah victory. Never despair of the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Never despair, and prove your love to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Go out there, do every work of good, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make your deeds acceptable to Him. For those who think that they don't have the skills and the knowledge and the ability, by Allah, I will tell you, every single person that has made an effect in this dunya was not a really great man before they became great. They were not particularly talented, not particularly educated, not particularly eloquent, but Allah, they had one thing and one thing only, and that was a deep burning desire to achieve something. Gandhi, when he thought that he was going to throw the people out of India, when was that time? It was the most unique of times, when he was being thrown out of the carriage, the first class carriage in South Africa. That is the moment as his cheeks hit the ground, as he was being thrown out of the train. He said, I made up my mind at that point that I'm going to free India from the British. Ya salam. This is the nature of visionaries. This is the nature of people who want to do good. That by Allah, their visions are completely illogical sometimes. Completely incomprehensible. Completely, imbecilic sometimes to people. But by Allah, this is the nature of visions. This is the power of vision. This is the power of passion, my brothers and sisters in Islam. It's completely illogical, but by Allah, by some heavenly logic, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes it possible. So my brothers and my sisters in Islam, let this be the call that you all have. Let this be the promise that you all make as you walk out of this conference. So my brothers and my sisters in Islam, make an oath and a promise to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that you're going to do something to prove your love to Allah Azza wa Jal. And by Allah, be of those people who fulfill your promise. And I remind you all, lastly, of the ayah and the verse in the Quran. Verily from the believers are those who have fulfilled what they have promised Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Minhum man qada nahbahu. From them are those people who have already passed away. Wa minhum man yantadhir. And from them are those people that are still waiting to fulfill their promise. وَمَا بَدَّلُوا تَبْدِيلًا. They have not changed by Allah in their promise. The scholars of tafsir say, this verse was revealed regarding a sahabi by the name of Anas bin Nadhr. Anas bin Nadhr radiyallahu anhu was a sahabi who accepted Islam just right after Badr, just before Uhud. And by Allah, when he accepted Islam after Badr but before Uhud, he felt sad. He felt sad. Why did he feel sad? Because he had missed the greatest of battles, the battle of Badr. So he made a promise to Allah, raising his hands to the heavens, said, Ya Rabbi, if you give me another chance, I will prove to you my promise to you. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him a chance and gave him the battle of Uhud. And he fought in the battle of Uhud until they said that he was wounded 36 times, all in the front. And they could not recognize him except by the tip of his fingers that his sister would recognize him for. Why? Because by Allah, he proved his promise to Allah, that if Allah gives him another battle, he will truly prove to Allah how much valor he has, how much love he has for this deen, how much he wants to defend this deen. And by Allah, this is the verse that was revealed for him. Verily from believers are those who are truthful to the covenant from Allah. From them are those that have passed away, and from them are those that still await their death. By Allah, they have not changed in their promise to Allah. Ask yourself this question: are you going to change in your promise to Allah Azza wa Jal? Or are you going to be of the believers that are from the men and the women that are true believers? Hold on to your promise and bi-idhnillah make a true change in this ummah. Jazakumullah khair, my brothers in Islam. I hope that bi-idhnillah you all benefited. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.